Hello.
Hello.
Hi, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm very good. Hello
Hap-
to the chat.
Happy Sunday,
Happy Sunday.
everybody.
Happy Sunday, y'all. How's it going? Um, yeah, so I think before we even get started, if you don't mind, I'll just say I'm currently dog sitting, so if you hear nails on the floor or a squeak here and there, I'm sorry, I'm dog sitting.
Yeah, life happens.
Yeah. Yeah, so if we're ready, I'm ready.
I'm ready too.
Okay, so we wanted to talk about social media and what it does to women.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that we're both kind of interested in, and we thought, why not do a little bit of a deep dive?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And initially, when we talked about this topic, I was a little skeptical that we were going to be able to come up with an hour's worth of content, but sort of once we started peeling back the layers, there's quite a
Mm-hmm.
lot.
Yeah.
And it's something that everybody has a relationship with one way or the other, whether they used to use it, currently use it. Um, yeah.
Yep,
So
exactly.
it applies to all of us pretty much.
Yeah. So let's see here. So this is kind of what we'll be talking about today.
Mm-hmm.
Social media versus reality. What's real, what's not. The trend of blackfishing, bullying, sexting, misogyny, addiction, and what social media really does to women.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm going to start with the whole social media versus reality thing. Um, there's been this trend in the last couple of years on social media, particularly Instagram, because it is a photo based app, to
Mm-hmm.
talk about, um, to talk about what is real and what is not real, and how stuff on Instagram is often presented as just a snapshot of a moment or a picture of something that's just gone on. But people Facetune and Photoshop and edit the crap out of their photos, and whatever you see on those platforms is hardly ever reality.
Exactly.
So there's this. I have something stuck in my throat. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry,
Go
everybody.
get some water.
Let me cough it out. Okay, sorry about that. Um, yeah, so there's been um, some Instagram accounts and stuff that have popped up to show the difference between what pictures the celebrity or the social media influencer has posted on their feed versus the actual raw, unedited image. And it's wild. So I've got some examples here. Um,
Yeah, and I want to say, like, before we get into this, this is not to shame any woman's appearance or anything like
right.
that. Like, they're totally fine in their natural state. The idea is that you can explain it,
They're
you know.
so like beholden to what they think they need to look like and how they need to present themselves that their photos are edited to shit.
Exactly. And
And
it
it's
creates
sad.
it sets a standard for other women that is not achievable by any woman.
Right, because the women in their own photos don't look like that.
Exactly.
So, here's a couple examples. First, on the left here, we have Khloe Kardashian. The left is the picture she posted to her Instagram, and the right is from the exact same day, but it's just a still from an episode of Keeping Up with the Kardashians. Um, it's shocking, and there's nothing wrong with her, right? Like she's fine, but the hair is edited, her nose is edited, her smile lines are gone, her lips are bigger, her eyes are smaller, like her
In fact,
eyebrows even.
I would say the person on the right is quite stereotypically glamorous and beautiful looking as
Yeah,
she is. Like,
yeah, she
not that
looks
there's,
fine and normal.
yeah, it's a little bit of walking on eggshells talking about this topic because I don't think any woman ever needs to change how they look or
Mm-hmm.
aspire to look a certain way or whatever. But from the way society would stereotypically think of a beautiful woman, like she already is that,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
Exactly. And then the same with Trisha Paytas. She's a super problematic YouTuber. She's wild. On the right here, like same exact thing. It's a picture she posted on her Instagram, and then the exact same day,
Right, and on the
still from the video.
left, like, it doesn't even look it looks like a computer
Right.
CGI render. I mean, because it basically is.
Yeah, exactly. People like it's not just makeup. People will say like, "Oh, that's just the power of makeup." And it's not. It's Facetune and it's Photoshop and it's lifting the
Right, I would
cheekbones
doubt
and
that
like
the makeup in the left is even like, she's not even wearing that. That's
right. It's
from an
applied
app or
with the
whatever.
app.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so
And
it's
yeah,
so toxic because it's promoting this idea to girls, some of whom are too young to know better and
yeah.
just think that, "Oh, why is she so glamorous and I just look like normal," you know?
Yeah. Or, I bought all the same products she said she used in her video and I don't look like that. Well, because neither does she.
Exactly.
And so this isn't just a trend we see among like young celebrity women. We've got Kim Cattrall, who is an actress and an incredibly beautiful actress,
Yeah.
and Madonna, who, I mean, find a person in the world who doesn't know who Madonna is. Um, and we've got the raw images and what was facetuned for social media. And it's, I mean, there's certainly an issue with women aging and being
Mhm.
considered like uh, no longer, I don't know, appropriate for
Valuable.
valuable. There we go. And so, yes, I can understand that women of a certain age may feel like they need to keep up, but
But it's
man,
like the photo of Kim Cattrall, like she just like to me wrinkles and stuff, it's just like
yeah.
wisdom and it like shows that
Hmm.
you've lived life and you've had experiences and you like I feel like we should all be grateful to get to old age. Like a
Yeah.
lot of people die young, which is tragic or
Hmm.
whatever, but like it's something that we should wear as like a badge of honor.
Right. These two women specifically have had such incredibly long and successful careers.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
you would think or hope that women could find the satisfaction in that and not in how they look. It's just so sad.
Exactly. And it erases that. It sort of erases that, like,
Yeah. Longevity,
yeah.
the timeline of it all. Um, yeah,
And they
it's
both
really
look fine.
completely fine. Totally fine. Yeah. Um,
Especially Madonna there does not look, she again
she's in her
looks like an
60s.
alien or something in the
Yeah.
the
It's
photoshopped.
mm,
I mean, Photoshop is a problem that's been going back 30 years or whatever.
for sure. For sure.
But
Yeah.
now it's, especially now it's accessible to like the average person. I heard one thing that people are going to plastic surgeons and they're taking like face tuned
Yeah.
pictures of themselves and saying, "Can you make me look like this in real
Oh,
life?"
wow. That is so
Yeah.
wild.
Because people get used to seeing themselves through these filters or whatever. And then they look in the mirror and they're like, "I hate
Oh,
how I
yeah.
look."
It's so sad. Oh.
Yeah. It's like an extra level to makeup because people feel that
Mm-hmm.
way. If you wear when I used to wear makeup every day and then I wouldn't wear it for a day or two and I'd look in the mirror and I'd be like, "Oh my God, I look awful." And
Hmm.
that this is like another extra
Yep.
layer above
Just
that,
another one of those things. Yeah.
And you can't stand yourself as yourself. I feel like Madonna is really a person. I mean, she's had a lot of stuff
Mm-hmm.
done to her face and
Oh
stuff.
my God, so much.
Just accept who you are. There's nothing wrong with it.
Yep.
All that stuff
Um,
just says there's something wrong with how you are as you are.
exactly. Yeah. I'm gonna show another one, which is contrasting by how extreme that face tuning and photoshopping can be
Mhm.
versus incredibly subtle and almost not noticeable.
Okay.
So on the left, Aubrey O'Day is a singer the photo she posted on Instagram versus the paparazzi picture taken the exact same week of her Instagram post. You would be hard pressed to even believe that's the same person.
Wow.
And there's nothing like, it's just, it's wild because her photo on the right, she's out on a walk with her dog, hiking. She got her headphones in. She's engaging in physical fitness and just living a normal life, looking like a normal person. But she went to extreme lengths with her legal team to have this paparazzi photo removed from the internet. But as we know, that, you know, it's on the
Never
internet, it lives there
works.
forever.
Yeah.
And just the incredible difference of the what she has done to her body with Facetune and Photoshop on the left is how it's wild.
Yeah, and yeah, again, it's like anytime discussing women's appearances, like as a
Yeah.
feminist, I feel like it's a little bit like walking on eggshells, but I think that photo of her on the left, she just looks awful.
Mm,
You know, like
yeah.
that's the image. What the it's just
Who is
like
this for?
pornographic basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'm sure she has female fans and stuff because she's a
Yeah.
musician, right?
Yeah, she's a singer.
Yeah.
Mm, yeah, it's
It's
rough.
really gross to me. That's my personal.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then on the right, we have, I hope I say this right, Isa Gonzalez. She's an actress. And this is like just an example of how completely subtle that some of this can be. You know, you could almost not even tell that anything has been done on the photo she
Right.
posted to Instagram. But if you look close enough, you can see that her upper arm has been thinned out significantly.
Yes.
Whereas on the press photo, like she looks beautiful and perfect and fine.
And I
But
will say that even thin arms look
mm-hmm,
like her arms probably are quite thin.
mm-hmm,
You know, when you
yeah,
pose like that, the arm just sticks out. That's like
yeah,
anatomy, you know?
yeah.
It also looks like
So
maybe her waist is a little bit smaller.
yes,
It's hard
she
to
did.
tell, but
She did cinch it in a bit. Um,
yeah, it's like again, I think that's a really good example to use, just showing how subtle it can be too, and
yeah,
it's almost like the subtle ones are more damaging.
right. Because yeah, people see these photos on social media and Instagram, and they think, oh wow, like look at how beautiful and perfect she is, and it's subtle, but it has been photoshopped. Even the tiniest amount still
Yeah,
alters how women perceive other women's bodies and how they think that they should look, and it's just
exactly.
not achievable.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, so we can have the super super extreme and then the incredibly subtle where it's hard to even notice.
Mhm.
um, this is gonna bring us into another trend on social media that has popped up on the internet in about the last 3 or 4 years,
Mhm.
called blackfishing. I think everyone by this day and age knows what catfishing is. Um, blackfishing um, is what we can say, but some Black people call it N-word fishing
Oh.
because it's a way that they can like take it back because people can't say that.
Mhm.
Anyway, blackfishing is where people present themselves on social media as Black or like ambiguously mixed race. Is she? Isn't
Mhm.
she?
Mm.
Um, and it's almost exclusively done by white people.
Mhm.
I have some examples of this from some pretty prominent social media quote unquote influencers. Um,
Mhm. Mm.
so on the left, we have a white British woman, Jaya Fern, before and after she started blackfishing. Most people honestly thought that the photo of her in the red was Nicki Minaj, the rapper.
Yeah, it looks just like her.
And then Swedish influencer Emma Hellberg,
Oh,
before and after.
that's
And
wild.
there was like a big controversy because this came out. Somebody did like an expose on Twitter exposing these gals, and a lot of the response from these influencers was, Well, I just get really naturally so tan in the
Right.
summertime. Like, what do you want me to do?
Right.
Um,
And you and
and
I we were talking earlier about like, well, like why they do this.
mhm.
Because there's some benefit to being seen as black or mixed race.
Yeah, that, and I think, well, there must be, I guess, right? I'm not sure.
Right. Well, we were talking about comparing it to like trans women, how it's sort of
Hmm.
like this costume where they can enjoy certain aspects of that culture sort of natively or whatever. And then they
Right.
can take that costume off whenever they want
When it
and
suits
not
them.
have to deal with the oppression aspects of that,
Yeah.
because she can wash that self tanner off
Yep.
and
And straighten
go
out her
back to
hair
being
again,
a
and
white person
yeah. Yeah. Yep.
when it's convenient.
And it's not just social media people doing this. We've got celebrities who do it too. On the left is Jessie Nelson, a former member of the British girl band Little Mix. That was her before. In the center, she's with Nicki Minaj, who is an actual black woman, and Jessie is darker than Nicki.
Kind
And
of
same with,
oranger too.
yeah, Oranger too. And on the right, her former bandmate Leanne, who is a black Jamaican woman. And again, Jessie is about the same or a little bit darker. Um,
Yeah.
and again, like it's also not just the skin
Right,
tan, right? Like it's the makeup and the fillers and the
I
way
was
that
just gonna
they,
say that too, and the hair also
yeah,
is more like a weave type
yeah.
looking.
And then if we go back to here, like on the right, Emma, she
Mhm.
like pinwheel curls her hair
Right.
to try to look like an afro,
And like the baby
or
hairs in front and
yeah, the
stuff.
baby hairs. So this occurs in a few different celebrities. I cannot believe I'm saying this out loud. Bad Baby, the rapper, and
Yeah.
white American and a white Australian, Iggy Azalea.
Yeah, I couldn't even believe that picture when I was looking at the slides before, and I had to Google that to I was like, "That can't be the same person." Like,
Right. Yeah. So yeah, presenting themselves as ethnically ambiguous. I mean, maybe it makes you a little more interesting. I don't know. The Iggy
some like
Azalea
sort of
one,
like I mean, she's a rapper, so well, they're both
right?
rappers or whatever, so it's like more like credibility or something.
Sure, that makes sense. But the Iggy one kind of like is a double question mark for me because um, she's emulating like Black American women and culture, and she's
Mm.
Australian. Like this
Right, I
isn't
remember
Black
when
Australian culture,
I first heard a song of hers and I was like, "Oh, that's a person from Atlanta."
right? And
Like
she
I
that's
could
right. That
not
even goes
believe like her accent is
it
so
goes beyond her appearance too.
right.
She speaks in a like a quote unquote like black scent,
Right.
an Atlanta, yeah, accent. Or she raps in one. She doesn't speak in one. She raps in one. So like
Right.
it's just wild to see this stuff on social media, and uh like you said, it's like a costume that they can take on and off and use when they want and exploit when they want.
Yeah.
And they get away with it so easily. And again, like these are also unattainable goals. These are white women. They do not look like this.
Right. And I mean, is there anything wrong with just being, white
Yourself.
or pale or whatever? I remember growing up, like being pale was like seen as this horrible thing or
Yeah.
whatever. And
Same.
I got into tanning, which is like my one regret in life is using tanning
Mm,
beds because it was like just seen as so shameful to be pale,
yeah.
which is what I naturally am. Like I can't help that. But, you know,
Yeah. And yeah, it just makes me wonder like what are these women thinking? Like they have to know that they're doing this, right?
well, we were talking about how influential like the Kardashians
Yeah,
are, and they're half white, half
like
Middle
Armenian.
Eastern. Yeah. So, but then they seriously like play it up through their makeup, like the darkness of
Yeah.
their skin tone
I
and stuff.
think I think the Kardashians also were kind of like public enemy number one when it comes to the whole blackfishing thing. Like, I think it
Mm.
really started with like Kim and Chloe,
Mm-hmm.
and that, yeah, I don't know. They kind of defined a social media genre, if you will, like with the whole Instagram baddie makeup and the,
Yeah, the body is the Photoshop. I mean, yeah, they're
yep,
really. Yeah, we're
yeah,
not talking about them specifically, and that we probably should have, but yeah,
yeah,
like there's such an origin story of like where all this stuff comes from.
yeah. So, yeah, that is just some examples of like the craziness of different photoshopping and like ways people present themselves, uh, and how none of
Yeah.
it is real.
I just want to take a look at the comments. Like Dana Mueller is saying, I was bullied by friends for being pale. We are all Caucasian, but they can tan and I can't. Yeah, I was the same way. I can't get a tan from like the sun. I can only get it from like a tanning bed.
Or a burn.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I burn and then in a day it's gone.
Yeah. A lot of younger women and girls try to look more exotic, aka mixed with fake curves, because that's the type of women men like currently. Hard to watch women pornify themselves. This
Yeah,
is a great comment
definitely.
too, especially the point of what men like currently, because as we know, beauty trends change constantly, and
Mm-hmm.
when these a lot of women are doing like irreparable surgeries to themselves, and
Mm.
the fad is going to change, and they're suddenly not going to be what's considered conventionally attractive anymore, and then what? Their bodies are, it's the same with trans stuff, their bodies are completely altered, and yeah, no, where do you
Mm.
go from there?
That's such a very good point. Like, yeah, I mean, it's crazy that plastic surgery like has trends, you know?
Right. Yep.
Like, so I mean, yeah, it's even like eyebrows and stuff, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah,
that was
even
another
eyebrows
thing
have
from
trends.
my generation. There's so many girls of my generation who have like super thin eyebrows because,
From
you know,
plucking them
pluck.
all out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
those, yeah, those things that are like permanent or semi-permanent, you know. I mean, things like butt implants and
Oh
stuff,
boy.
which are also so dangerous, or lip
Yeah.
injections, or
Yep.
all that stuff has a long-term effect, and some of those effects they don't even know
Mm-hmm.
because they just
Yeah,
haven't been
it's
doing it for
wild.
that long. So you're doing it to chase a trend that's going to change in 5 or 10 years anyways.
Yep. And then what?
It's not like remodeling your kitchen or something, you know what I mean? Where you could,
Mm-hmm.
it's your body.
Yeah, you need that body.
Yeah. Oh, Polar Night says my aunt would compare our pigment by putting our arms together. Like, who hasn't done that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Relatable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
Yep.
that was great.
It's old.
Thank you so much for
Thanks.
sharing that.
Thanks.
So, I'm going to be talking about a few different aspects of social media and internet use in general. Um, about what makes using the internet, social media so toxic and why it's something that we should be really careful and reevaluate our use of it. And obviously, we're
Cool.
all together here on the internet. Like, the internet has positive aspects, right? Like,
Right.
potentially, you know, it could be a source of community and learning and information sharing. And that's really what it should be used for. But it has this really dark side that I feel like has become the more prominent, you know, aspect.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, cyberbullying affects people of all ages. It's not just something that's um, for kids.
Yeah.
Adults get bullied too. 37% of people will experience cyberbullying in their lifetimes, but there's kind of an important thing that's not mentioned in that statistic, which is people who witness it. And
Okay.
even if you're not experiencing it firsthand, if you see somebody else being bullied, which probably most of us have or will,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to change how you act and how you interact on the internet.
Right.
I think a good example is like J.K. Rowling. Like, she has been bullied really severely on
Yeah.
Twitter, in the news, and everything, all based on things that she said online. So I would call that cyberbullying.
Right.
And that the treatment of her has sort of struck fear in the hearts of women, and it's silenced a lot of women who otherwise like might be speaking up. And I think video game culture has that stereotype too, where girls who do like online multiplayer gaming, if they speak up
Get,
with
like,
their
attacked.
female voice, yes, they get attacked. And then so other girls see that. Maybe they haven't experienced it personally themselves, but it changes their behavior. And I've seen a lot of women say, this is why I don't show my face. This is why I don't show my voice, or I don't use my voice or my name or whatever. And it's not because they've necessarily been bullied themselves, but they've witnessed it in other women, and it's created a culture where they're afraid. And I can't blame them for it at all. I think it's probably pretty smart to protect your identity and your privacy for most people. But yeah, so it's not that stress of cyberbullying doesn't just affect the victims. It has like a wide ripple effect.
Absolutely.
So I'm just taking a look at the comments here, or maybe you can look at them while I'm talking. But if there's any that you want to highlight, just stop me.
All good.
Cool. Okay. So cyberbullying is most strongly correlated with narcissism. And narcissists are people who crave attention and importance, but they lack empathy. And something that's really common amongst narcissists is that, like, normal people, they get a high from positive interactions with people, and that's what they crave. So a normal person, like, oh, I had like a really great conversation with someone and we both left feeling good, and that's what makes a person feel good. But a narcissist, they get a high from fighting with people or from having people feel negatively about them. So that's actually the kind of they crave actually negative attention, and it's hard for people who aren't in that mindset to like think that that even could be real, because it sounds so out there, but that's true. And so when you see people like bullying other people, bullies often get it right back. Like if they're nasty to someone, they're gonna get that right back usually. But they want that. That's the attention that they want. Platforms like Twitter reward toxic behavior. So you get more attention on a place like Twitter for like dunking on other people. I think of it as like dunking culture. I always use that word when I'm talking to you, but like, that's what people do, is that's what they get the most attention for. Creating drama rather than being kind, being chill, collaborating. Like that doesn't really get the likes and the shares and stuff.
Like a snarky comment gets a ton of likes, whereas something kind and gentle is not even paid attention to at all.
Exactly. And I don't know what the origin of that is. Like it could be it might go back all the way to reality TV, like 15 years ago or whatever, like where it's people are in this state where they really want to see this hyper drama and people going at each other's throats and stuff. And that's like what gets people off or whatever. And being nice to each other is just not exciting in that way, I guess. Like Dragon says, uplifting others is boring. Yeah. I mean, we see that a lot, even in our sphere too, right?
Of course.
Without having to go into that. And then along with the toxic culture of the internet is just the stress from looking at the news, which is just generally never good. And even if it doesn't impact you like on a personal level, you're seeing it and you're absorbing some of that stress. Constantly. And political divisiveness, another thing. Like I think, Trump specifically really emboldened people to really be polarized and take sides, and online especially,
let it all out.
Yeah, and that's definitely true. I think I don't use Facebook, but what I know of Facebook, I used to use it many years ago, probably
Right.
I don't know, 5 years ago or something. But I know it's gotten worse of people posting all sorts of political stuff and everything. So yeah. Anything you want to add?
No, I'm right there with you. I think
Yeah.
There used to be, it seems to me there used to be a time where there was certain things that you didn't say in public or you just discussed among people you knew agreed with you. But now it's social media allows anyone to say whatever they want, wherever, however, to whomever, with no
That's a very
consequences at
good
all.
point. And you get points for it too.
Yeah.
And you can find other people like you,
Yeah.
find other
That
people
agree
with
with you.
those extreme opinions and stuff. And that's how it's sort of really niche things that only existed in people's basements or whatever,
Yeah. That's right.
it's the internet has enabled pretty terrible people to find each other and feel emboldened and supported by each other, whether it's
Absolutely.
fetishist type people or neo-Nazis or whatever.
Yeah.
So the lovely poem says the platforms are all about keeping men in power. Men can say anything, even threaten rape and murder, and they just keeping on. Women, on the other hand, will be shut down.
That's so true. A lot of times I do use Instagram, and I use it primarily in a lesbian focused way, where the accounts I follow, the stuff I post, etc. And you can report a comment that is absolutely homophobic or lesbophobic or misogynist, and Instagram will come back and be like, we didn't find anything wrong with this comment.
Right?
But
so many times, yeah.
But saying I don't know, just an example, Megan Murphy got banned for saying men aren't women though.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oy.
Exactly. So that's one toxic aspect of the internet. We should be so moving on. We also have this stuff. And this isn't exactly, sexting is not internet specific, but
Device specific.
Yes, it has to do with how much more we're using our devices. I'm going to talk about that in a few minutes, but certainly things that you send in a text can easily find their way to the internet.
Yeah.
And that's something that a lot of girls don't understand, because girls are, the girls who are susceptible to this behavior are young. And your prefrontal cortex, the decision-making part of your brain that allows you to evaluate whether something is good or bad, doesn't get fully developed in some people till you're 30. Right. So that's a long period of not realizing that your actions have consequences. So 1 out of 4 teen girls have sent nude pictures. 61% felt pressured into doing so. And mostly they're sending them to boys. And 17% of boys who receive such pictures go on to share them either,
that's so scary and gross,
with friends or even on porn sites. So sending or receiving nude pictures of children under 18 is considered CP, and that is heavily prosecuted under the law. There's a lot of things with women's safety that sort of go ignored by the law, but this is not one of them. I'm not sure what the law is with respect to if it's say a 14-year-old girl sending pictures of herself, if
it's still prosecuted. Yeah. I have read a few instances
wild.
of this happening, of being charged with distribution of CP. And this can and does get children put put on a sex offender registry for it.
That's like, I could see if a girl sends it to a boy and then he forwards it on, that's one thing. But if it's a girl sending pictures of herself, I can't imagine a prosecutor would be like, yeah, we got to go after that girl. Like,
Yeah,
there's
it has
almost, I
happened.
mean, that's wild. That's so wild.
You're
Um,
distributing, yeah, illegal material.
yeah, and these girls don't realize that
Mm-hmm.
they don't realize there's consequences to this, and that those pixels that you put on the internet, they live there forever.
Ever.
Everyone, everything that you put on the internet, it's up forever.
Forever.
um but yeah, let's see. 15% of teens who have sent or posted nude images of themselves send them to people they have never met in real life.
Oh, man.
Yes.
That's wild.
So
And
it's not
scary
a
because who are they sending it to? They don't necessarily know.
right. They don't know people they just met online.
Mm.
So again, some things to be mindful of. Also, talking about the general toxicity of the internet is encountering casual misogyny. One of the only social media that I use is Reddit, and it doesn't really matter. You could be on the most gentlest cat sub or whatever.
Yeah,
There will be jokes about women
for sure.
and at the expense of women. And as a Reddit user, I laugh that stuff off because what else can you do? Yeah, I know I shouldn't be on Reddit and I shouldn't be supporting it, but it's so pervasive that I think for a lot of women you almost like don't notice it. It's just like the background noise or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm pretty like tuned into it, but there's nothing you can do about it. So it's sort of misogynistic material and jokes and stuff. It reinforces those ideas even on a subconscious or subliminal kind of level. The
Mm-hmm.
idea that women are lesser, that women are a joke, that women are not fully human the way the men are. And it's just everywhere and it's like totally taken for granted.
Absolutely.
And yeah, men in DMs. Uh, yeah, men in DMs at the best, they're going to be wasting your time.
At the best.
Yeah, and at the worst, they're going to be predatory, and they're everywhere. I used to use Instagram, and I would, you know, a lot of guys just like want your attention. They just want like a little bit of attention. They want to say hi, and they want you to say hi back, and that's it. But still, it's like a total waste of your time and
Yeah.
completely unnecessary. And then at
Ugh.
worst, they want to like send you pictures of their anatomy or whatever,
Mm.
and things like
Yuck.
that. So that all factors in to what makes the internet toxic for women. Excuse me for 1 second.
Yeah. I saw a thing on Reddit
Yeah.
talking about like what do you do when you receive pictures of male anatomy, and somebody said that she replies saying that she has submitted the screenshots of the conversation to her local police for distribution of CP. Yeah. It's like,
Yeah.
that's a good one. That's a good
Yep.
one.
So the next topic is social media addiction. And what's so crazy is up till this point, we've just been talking about every single way in which the internet and social media is like so toxic. And yet at the same time, we're all addicted to it, or many of us are. And it's,
Mm-hmm.
even though we know it's bad, it's doing bad things to our mental health. It's so hard to get away from. Why? Because it's engineered to be that way.
Yeah.
I mean, people who are doing heroin know it's bad. People who are alcoholics know it's bad. They
Yeah.
can't stop. And it's the same thing with using our phones and using social media. So here is Chamath Palihapitiya, who says he's a billionaire venture capitalist. So I guess if you're a billionaire, it's a little easier to get away from this stuff. But he's one of the people who helped create the algorithms and stuff that addict us so hard. So thank you. But he says, I feel tremendous guilt. The short-term dopamine-driven feedback loops that we have created are destroying how society works, which I really believe is also true.
So true.
So is social media addiction real? Of course, the answer is yes.
Yes.
Social media use has a similar effect on the brain as gambling and cocaine use. In fact, a person who is using a cell phone, the activity in their brain is almost indistinguishable from a person using cocaine.
Wow.
And yeah, cocaine obviously has other physiological effects like on your heart and stuff like that. But as far as the brain goes, if you looked at MRI, functional MRI or whatever, you would be hard pressed to find the difference. Social media taps into the brain system of stimulus and rewards that reinforce certain behaviors. So when you do a behavior and then dopamine is flooded, dopamine is a neurotransmitter that I'll talk about a little bit more in a second. Your brain gets flooded with it and it feels good. Dopamine, it's like makes you feel euphoric. It makes you feel energized and stimulated. So whatever you did prior to that, all that dopamine rush, you're going to want to do that again and again and again. So that's what makes it so, so stimulating. Evolutionarily and still today, social interactions are crucially important. They're really towards the bottom of the hierarchy of needs, right? It's like food, water, shelter, and very low down there, it's our interactions with other people. Because if you don't have a solid tribe happening around you, you're not going to survive in the wild.
Right.
And if you can't get along with your tribe and fit in and everything, you're going to die. So it's that important to survival. And that's why we're so hardwired around having positive social interactions. The problem is our brains are designed to interact with a small amount of people, with like a few dozen people, up to maybe a tribe of 150 people. But on social media, now we have access to networks of thousands and thousands, if not millions of people.
Millions.
Yeah.
I think I read there's over 1 billion people on Facebook.
There's actually 2.5 billion
Okay.
users on Facebook. Yes.
Wow.
That was another stat that I had. Yeah. So our brains aren't designed for all of that. They're not designed for managing all those relationships, some of which are anonymous. You know, you're interacting with anonymous people and stuff like that too. And this dopamine system is not equipped to like be able to tell the difference, you know, between meaningful interactions and
Sorry, I just wanted to share this.
Yeah, there's no legislation to hold social media companies accountable for encouraging addiction, so they do so freely. And I think I saw something, I don't have any data about this, but in California, they're going after social media companies for addicting children.
Good.
So I don't know, it's like class action lawsuit or something, but obviously it affects children. It'll be interesting to see children now, how they're growing up. But as, you know, almost 40-year-old adult myself, like I feel like it's impacted me too. It's not just kids, obviously. Yeah, these things have been engineered specifically, like people know what
designed this way.
Yeah, they
with
have
this
modeled their software after what it's like when a person uses cocaine. They've modeled their software after
That reward system.
Yeah, gambling addictions and stuff too. We're going to talk about that in one second. Let me just see. Yeah. Oh, and another thing about dopamine is that's the main neurotransmitter that's involved in Parkinson's disease, which you know is like difficulty moving and like shaking and stuff. So it's a lack of dopamine that causes that. And
Wild.
yeah. Okay. So, what makes social media so addicting is the variable ratio reward schedule. So, this is B.F. Skinner. He did this study, I think in like the 1950s or something, with pigeons. And the pigeons would tap a button, and then every fourth tap, they would get a seed or whatever.
All
And
right, a
he found
reward.
a reward. And they like that. But he found that if they knew that if they tapped 4 times and they get a seed, they would get bored with it after a while. And as soon as they got full of seeds and they weren't hungry anymore, that's it.
Right.
So then they switched it up and they said, well, now you're going to get a seed on the second tap, and then the 6th tap, and then the 3rd tap, and then the 8th tap. And they would tap all day. And that's exactly what social media is, because you never know when you're going to get likes. You never know when you're going to get engagement. You never know when we're going to get comments. We are all pigeons.
Wow. Okay.
Yes, and it's that variability that keeps you hooked. You never know when you're going to check your phone and there's going to be something that gives you that squirt of dopamine.
Yeah, or your post might blow up. Or
right.
Yeah.
And it's exciting. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Instagram, it's actually been shown that they will hold back likes. So when you post something and you're like, wait a second, normally within an hour, my post gets 60 likes and it's only got 8. What the heck? Like they hold back likes and then they dump them in large quantities on you. So
Whoa, I didn't know that.
And it's engineered to manipulate that system.
Right. So when you see that dump, you're like, oh, okay, phew, if it's okay. Like, oh, wow.
But it's also like you get a big hit of dopamine.
Yeah.
Because again, it's that
because you're getting the likes and the attention that you want.
Exactly. Again, we're hardwired to crave like positive social interactions and acceptance from our tribe and all of those things.
Wow.
I also wrote here that our algorithms feel arbitrary. Like, I know as a posting on YouTube, it's like sometimes things do really well and then other times they don't. And I feel like it's an algorithm thing. Because something that I'll expect, I'll be like, oh, people will be really interested in this. And then it's like, gets like no engagement.
Never mind. Yeah, interesting. Oh, that's so wild.
And a lot of it's stuff that's like happening behind the scenes that you are just not, you think it's you. You're like, wow, why nobody watched my video or whatever? What the heck? I thought this was the thing people would really enjoy. And like, it could absolutely be the algorithm. So it's true, it feels so rewarding when I get a lot of likes on a post or comment, far beyond what's reasonable. Yeah.
And we're all susceptible to this.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this is what social media is built on. Yeah. So if you're using social media, this is baked in. Wow. Too much dopamine can physically break your brain. It's a scary thought to think about and to realize. But the amount of dopamine that we're flooded with is not a normal amount. They say like with methamphetamine, even using it once can destroy your brain for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And social media is not far behind that. You can actually physically destroy and kill the dopamine receptors.
Wow.
And that makes everyday activities feel less pleasurable. Because say you go for a walk in nature or whatever, which is something you used to really enjoy, and you find you're out for the walk and you're like, I want to check my phone. Because that's the thing that gets you high now. And of course, with addiction, you need more and more of that stimulus all the time to create that same high. So that's the diminishing effects.
Wow.
And then the last characteristic of addiction is wanting to stop and knowing it's wrong. And you want to just go for a walk and not look at your phone for an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't, because you need that hit to even keep you awake or keep you in the world, you know? I don't know if anyone out there can relate to this.
Yeah.
I have a pretty like serious addiction to my phone. So I've
Mm-hmm.
been dealing with this for a long time, and I've had some success here and there, like giving it up for a month or whatever at a time, but I always
Come back.
come back to it. And
Yeah.
I feel like my brain might be permanently, I don't know, permanently. The good thing is if you, and so that dopamine receptor death is characteristic of like basically all addictions, like a cocaine addiction or a phone addiction or a gambling addiction or whatever. But if you can go without the stimulant for about a year, then the dopamine receptors will start to regrow and regenerate.
Wow.
And you can enjoy life normally again. But yeah, it's why addiction is so associated with depression. It's because depression is when you don't feel an enjoyment doing like normal activities, like eating a nice meal or whatever, you know, regular stuff. And yeah, I'm just looking at the comments. Villa Pula says, one of my Tumblr posts blew up recently and sincerely it just sucked. A bunch of people I never interacted with before adding dumb comments to my post. Yeah, that can be an aspect of it too. I mean, some of my most interacted with YouTube videos are the comments are all, you're a transphobe, you're a horrible person. And like, I'm not a person who thrives on that.
Right.
What did I score on that test? I think 48% narcissist or something, whatever that was. But yeah, I do not crave like negative attention at all. And that can be a hallmark of internet attention, is that you're, even if it's mostly positive, you're definitely gonna attract some negative attention. Dragon Fox says, I could never gamble. I always figured life was enough of a gamble. I've never gambled in my life. I've never bought a lottery. Nice.
I don't even know how to buy a lottery ticket.
Yeah, same.
I don't know.
Yeah, I always just figured it's again engineered to make you lose, like all these things. So I have some facts that are gonna make you guys all want to run from your phone. We know that addiction is bad, and yet it's getting, our use of our phones and social media is still increasing despite knowing that. So this is worldwide average daily minutes spent on social media of people who use the internet at all. So not everyone in the world is on the internet, but of people who are on the internet, we are spending now 2.5 hours per day on social media every day, including the weekend, which works out to be 17.5 hours per week, or over 3 full 24-hour days per month.
Man.
So what else could you use that time? I mean, people are always so crunched for time, and they have all these projects they want to do, and like they don't have time for it.
Because they're scrolling.
Exactly. So
because we are scrolling. I'll say we, because I'm doing it.
And I will say, I think we talked about this a little bit later, but when you do a detox or give it up, you just suddenly have so much free time. You're like, I'm going to clean the bathroom or whatever, you know, like all the things that you're like put off. The country with the highest use is the Philippines. They have an average of almost 4 hours per day on social media, just on social media apps, not like the internet in general. The USA is at about 2 hours and 3 minutes. 54% of people in the world use social media every day.
Wow.
Like we said, Facebook has 2.5 billion users.
That's 3.5 billion people.
Yep. As far as continents go, Europe has the most social media with 79% of Europeans on social media. And Africa is the least with 8 to 10% of Africans on social media.
Hmm.
Generation Z unlocks their smartphone an average of 79 times per day. Millennials, it's about 63 unlocks per day.
That's crazy.
And then our parents and grandparents, they're at about 18 unlocks per day.
Hmm.
The average American adult spends 11 hours per day on a screen, which winds up being 1,460 hours per year or 91 waking days in front of a screen. 3 full months staring at a screen.
Hmm.
65% of mobile phone users report being ignored by somebody in their household who chose their mobile device over interacting with a human.
Hmm.
And let's see, 53% of phone users feel a sense of panic if they don't know where their phone is. And that's
I've
about
been
it
there.
for stats. Yeah. And I will say that when people are asked the positives of using the internet, they say access to information, ease of communication, and freedom of expression, which I feel are, I don't know, freedom of expression so much, but,
Hmm.
and that the negative aspects are losing their personal privacy and polarization in politics and being distracted.
Yeah. No kidding.
Yeah, Dragon Fox says hard on your eyes. Yeah, it's bad for you physically too. Yeah, exactly. Eyes, neck posture, for sure. So
Everybody sit up real straight right now.
I know I'm like totally hunched over.
Yeah, same.
Okay, so you want to take over?
Yes. So, so social media effects on women. I looked at a few studies and articles. Um, Social media use is linked to a significantly high risk of eating disorders for women and girls.
Mm-hmm.
Um, 67 different studies in 2015 showed that using the internet and particularly social media that's focused on appearance, so Instagram and TikTok, um,
Mm-hmm.
are associated with massively heightened body image and eating disorder concerns,
Mm-hmm.
or like eating consumption concerns. um,
Yeah, and something I wanted to add too, it's the stress and the mental health stuff that comes from using like Instagram and stuff. It's not just from looking at other people,
mm,
but it's from that feeling of like you have to curate your own life and you have to present this
yeah.
perfect image to the world and the stress that that creates. So it's not just
Mhm.
like, oh, look at her body, she's so beautiful and I'm not. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, I have to make a post today and like I have to get everyone to believe that my life is perfect, you know? And
Yeah.
that's
I
really
don't.
stressful.
I didn't find a stat for this, but I wish I had. I wonder what the average amount of photos a person takes is for the one they choose to post.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
because I've seen posts or TikToks or whatever where girls and women are showing like scrolling through their camera roll, and
Right.
there's 50 to 100 photos in mostly the same pose,
Right.
and they go through all of those to find just the one, which is just ugh.
Right, and then you're posting to this world that's so hyper judgmental. It's not unconditionally loving. The love is completely conditional and to, based on what you provide.
Uh-huh.
And it's just so, so harmful.
Mm.
Yeah.
So yeah, the studies also showed that depression, low self-esteem, anxiety, body dissatisfaction were all associated with Instagram users.
Hmm.
College age women who took and posted photos of themselves reported a worse mood and feeling less attractive than college age women who did not do that behavior.
Yeah.
And using social media has shown a higher rate in desiring cosmetic surgeries and procedures.
Wow.
um, Appearance focused posts, so again, Instagram and TikTok primarily, showed an increased drive in wanting thinness.
Mm.
Other post types don't have that same impact, so like maybe Facebook posts, Twitter posts. Um,
Or
yeah,
like maybe posts that are about like other like rainbows or
right,
something, you
right,
know?
yeah, right. Like, or this is what I ate for dinner, or yeah,
Right.
yeah. Um, and then engaging in social comparison, so like comparing yourself to others and the people you see on social media, for women and girls was the greatest risk for negative outcomes in their mood.
Mm-hmm.
um, and an increase in actual self harm via cutting,
Mm.
um, like general depression and stress, suicidal ideations were all associated with social media use,
Mm-hmm.
insomnia, car accidents, accidental death from looking at your phone while
Right.
hopping
Yeah.
in a
Well,
vehicle.
in the chat, Beatrix says we can add driving while watching porn to our long list of ways men might kill us. But yeah, it is using social media is associated with more car accidents because they get that notification and they have to
And they
check
have to
it,
look. Yep.
and it's worth dying over.
For that
That really
little,
tells you what an addiction it is.
yeah, that little bloom of dopamine is worth it for some people.
Yeah,
um
exactly. Yeah, so as far
Detoxing.
as detoxing, um, like I mentioned, it can take up to a year for dopamine receptors to heal and regrow after the damage that social media does to them. Um, I've done a few detoxes, but it's hard. I think they have apps, or you were saying on the I don't use the iPhone, but like
There's a screen
where you can
time
get the
built into
screen
it.
time, yeah. Um, on Android, like I've used various apps, and sometimes just seeing the number of how much you're using the phone and how much you're using it just disgusts you so much that that's enough to like make you stop using it for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I personally deleted Facebook and Instagram probably like a year or two later, cold turkey. I didn't worry about the content that I had on there, my photos. I had photos from like trips and stuff or whatever. I just deleted it. And everyone's experience is going to be different, but my personal experience was like really positive. Um,
Good.
yeah, I never looked back. I never was like, oh, why'd I do that? I miss it or anything like that. I had like real like friends on Instagram or whatever, or people I would talk to like every other day and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, but I felt that the harm of using it was outweighed any benefit I got from it. And
Mm.
for me, I think I was telling you this too. I really just didn't want to support Mark Zuckerberg anymore. I felt like they meddled in the election in 2016, or they didn't prevent what they could have done, meddling and stuff like that. And there were just now in the last year or two, it's come out all of this stuff that they knew about how Instagram harms young women and how it makes them suicidal and stuff. How can you support a company like that? No, I know that you're on Instagram. I'm not
Yeah.
trying to guilt you at all.
No,
Um,
no, I know. I
but
know.
that was my feeling. Obviously, everyone's different and uses it in a different way too. I really think the most damaging social media is the ones where you're putting your own persona out there and your own personal life out there, which is a little ironic because I have done vlogging on YouTube and stuff, which is exactly that. I don't really do it anymore, but especially Facebook and Instagram, where you're like really putting your life out to be judged by other people and stuff that you
Yeah.
may know in real life too.
Mm-hmm.
That I think is the most harmful. So, yeah, but there's some different strategies on here. Keeping your phone out of reach, not using it first thing in the morning, not using it at night after a certain time. It's easier said than done. Like,
Yeah.
really is. I mean, I'm like have this in my mind, like, yeah, I'm gonna stop using my phone, and I can't stop. I don't know.
Mhm. I know
Um,
I have like bursts where I'm okay. Like I do use the feature, like the do not disturb feature, so I don't get
okay.
any notifications that come through, and that helps because then I'm not like tempted.
Yeah. Oh,
But I still do check anyway.
one thing I meant to put on here, but a really good strategy is just turning off your notifications. So
Yeah.
then you're more directing your use of the phone rather than it's sort of the tail wagging the dog or something. Like, you know, uh, yeah, I turned off my notifications for
Mm.
like the YouTube studio. So
Oh, me
I
too.
actually have to like manually go into the studio to see if I have comments rather than every time I have a comment, it pops up in my little
Yeah, I had to turn that off
notifier.
so quickly
Yeah,
when I yeah.
because that's my big addiction is like YouTube comments,
Uh-huh.
so full disclosure.
Mhm. I gotcha. So, um,
Yeah.
sorry. So yeah, detoxing has shown actual positive results in these studies. Um, a group of university students were told to reduce their social media use for 3 weeks, and then the control group did not change their behavior in any way. And the group that reduced were less lonely, less depressed compared to the other group. Um, and so, yeah, when you're not doom scrolling all day long, like
Mm-hmm.
we've said earlier in this, you find time for other things, whether that be real connection, activities you like, meaningful fulfillment in your activities.
And it
Um,
does really
that
clear
helps.
your head out a lot. And yeah, times when I know last fall I did like a detox where I wasn't really using any internet at all after like 4 or 5 p.m. And so I was having the evenings to myself, and I felt like I was on vacation. Like it was
Mm,
I was able to relax a lot more deeply, sleep better, you know, because all of this dopamine is keeping us in this hyper aware, hyper
uh-huh.
mobilized state where we're like,
Vigilant.
yeah, like there's a lot of cortisol too. We didn't talk about that, but stress hormone, where
Yeah.
you're like sort of in fight or flight mode. And so when you just eliminate that, it allows your body to like rest more deeply, like heal more. There's a huge physical benefit to all this stuff too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's what we have for the prezo.
This is an interesting tip. Put your phone in grayscale. The red color of the notification on the icon is on purpose to catch your eye. Didn't know you could do that.
Yeah, that's a hard one. Yeah. It's it's like again, even knowing this stuff, it's hard to
Yeah,
force yourself to execute it. At least I find.
I do too. I know a woman who is in her mid 20s and posts sets of 19 to 20 or more selfies per day. She doesn't even choose the best ones, she just posts them all. If that's not narcissism, that's wild. I do have a Facebook account, but I don't have any photos of myself on it. It's so
Mm,
weird. Like,
good.
it's so wild.
Yeah. For being on YouTube, I'm like pretty protective of my privacy like everywhere else on the internet. And that's another nice thing about not being on social media is you're like not creating any content anywhere. I don't know, like we talked a little bit about digital minimalism and stuff,
Yeah.
but or you and I have talked about it, but like kind of streamlining like what apps you use or what, you know, like I just
Hmm.
do everything on YouTube and that's pretty much it. It's not like, I know most people have like, even most YouTubers are like, oh, follow me on Instagram or whatever. And I guess it's a
Yeah.
way, cross platform like engagement and stuff.
Yeah.
But to me, I'm just like, it's just so much more simplified to like have one platform,
Yeah.
and I'm not creating like this fingerprints all over the internet. It's just like
Mm,
very concentrated in one area.
yeah. I do have an Instagram account, Radical Ramblings. I
Mm-hmm.
use it to post when I have a new video, and that's it. Like, I have my DMs turned off. Only people who
Uh-huh.
follow me can comment, so I can't get any randoms in there. And I don't engage at all. Like, I just make a post and I go.
Uh-huh.
Um, but I do use Instagram, so there is that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There was a comment in here somewhere that I wanted. Oh, Julie, I don't even see myself in the mirror 19 or 20 times a day, which is so true. And yet, because of like social media, women and girls are staring at themselves constantly.
Yeah, and I was thinking something I actually jotted down. Um, this is a quote from the American Psychological Association, that chronic attention to physical appearance leaves fewer cognitive resources available for other mental and physical activities.
Mm,
And I was thinking about something I heard a while ago, is that girls, like even in a classroom and stuff, they're constantly aware of their posture, of the way their like legs look when they're sitting, and like all these little things, the way their hair looks, because they're aware that everyone's looking at them, or that's like an
yeah.
aspect of being female, that's all energy that's diverted to those purposes, that boys and men are not thinking about how they're sitting and like, you know,
No, never.
do I look the thinnest from this angle or whatever,
Mm,
and things like that. And social media is just like this other layer, where you're like spending so much energy and diverting so much energy towards something so superficial as like your appearance, and like when honestly no one cares. That's the other
yeah,
aspect of this,
I
is
know. No
mostly
one in
people
real
are,
life cares.
yeah.
They're
There was
worrying
some
about their own stuff.
Yeah, there was something that I came across that was like, um that oh yeah, that people in real life, in conversations and stuff, people talk about themselves like 20 to 30% of the time in a conversation, but online
Right.
it's like 80% of the time. So it sort of trains you to be like a narcissist, even if you aren't naturally one.
Hmm.
Julie says social media has transformed the male gaze into the global gaze. Oh, so true. Again, it just reinforces that
Mm,
idea that women are objects, that
for
we're
consumption.
little works of art, which is a disempowering. Almost every woman knows how to pose in real life. Yeah, it's so true. It's like,
Ugh,
you know how to
yeah.
sit or whatever to like,
Yeah, or if someone pulls a camera out, like you change how
yeah, it's
you
like,
are currently sitting or standing.
your angles, that you look the best.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah, social media is garbage, and all of us here today together are on social media right now.
Oh, the irony.
I know. I mean, I'm trying to use it for good, I suppose, but that doesn't
Yeah,
mean
I
that
think
it's
you
not
and I
affecting
both
us.
are. We've been talking about like doing these little slideshows and stuff lately that we've been doing. Like,
Yeah,
we're trying to create something that,
like tangible and real.
yeah, and that can, live here on YouTube for a while, and people can come
Yeah.
to and learn something and get something out of it that's substantive. And,
Hmm.
you
Yeah.
know, we've
And
both had
it's,
our eyes opened by feminism, and you all of this is just, it's more eye-opening stuff, so then you go out into the world and you experience these things, and you can look at it critically and look at how you fit into it, and not
mm,
be persuaded by it that you're lesser or something, just because that's what the message that you're hearing.
yeah. Yeah, no, it's been really nice. It's nice to use your platform for good, and to actually make something tangible in this way. That's nice.
Yeah. That's what we're trying to do. Dragon says it's a slice of sanity listening to you two women. Thank you.
Thanks, Dragon.
Yeah, we're so grateful for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
We always talk in our private messages about like how smart you guys are and stuff. And
Yeah, and like it's nice to create this content that is like real and tangible and hopefully has value. But it is nice also to be both validated and challenged by the incredibly smart women in both of our communities.
yeah, definitely. Totally agree.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Yeah. Leptoceratop says social media internet culture trains narcissism into us and simultaneously lack of empathy for others and cruelty. I totally agree. I feel
I
like the
completely
internet has
agree.
become so much more, like I said, it's so about just dunking on people and having the cleverest little
Yeah,
jibes
clap
at
back.
people and stuff. Yeah. And, you know, it could be this place of, especially for women, it could be this place of
Uh-huh.
togetherness where we like find refuge amongst each other, you know,
From all
and
the
where,
trash.
yeah, and where we can raise awareness about this stuff where it's so plainly, obviously bad for women and everything. And like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's not often not treated that way. It's, yeah, Beatrix says it's a huge relief to talk to women who get it and also sharing information on books, news, films, resources. Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
That's really nice. Yeah, is there anything that anyone in the chat wants to talk about in relation to social media or being online? Um,
Yeah, or
this is
anything
now
else.
your time, this discussion
Yeah.
segment.
Yep, we're happy to create/cultivate a space for you guys to have your ideas heard as well. So anything related to the topic or anything else, we're here. The floor is open. Open mic night.
Women just need to find and do this type of thing more. Yeah, that would be nice. It really would be.
Yeah, definitely.
It's like I have really enjoyed being on YouTube, even though I'm
Mm-hmm.
talking about controversial stuff when it comes to radical feminism, and even
Mm.
amongst radical feminists, some of my views and opinions are controversial. But I've still found it quite nice overall. However, in the last 3-ish months that you and I have been doing this, Lisa, like these streams, it's been
Yeah.
even more rewarding to me um, to create, yeah, these tangible presentations, real world discussion about, I don't know, feminism and the world around us. And I'm lucky in that way that my social media use, though it's probably not great for my brain in a lot of
Right.
ways, it's still rewarding on some level, which I mean rewarding on a negative level, I suppose, in the dopamine realm, but rewarding on an emotional level.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think a big thing too, especially with the work that you and I have been doing together, it's like I've learned so much by putting together these
Yeah.
presentations too. Like I honestly we kind of joke about this, but I feel like we're the professors of a class, but we're also the students. You know, like we're putting together these presentations and
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. It's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, something we didn't exactly talk about, but you know, the impact of all of this, the internet and social media on like attention span and how
Uh,
difficult it is to sit and focus on a topic and doing the research for the streams that we've done. Um, it's like forced me to sit and focus and read articles and like it's been very, very enriching.
completely agree.
Yeah.
Completely agree. Michelle, this kind of media fits right into my separatism. It's a blessing. Thank you, Michelle.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Also hope you're doing well out there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, it's just a nice to have this space away from men and have it be women focused. Yeah.
Yeah. Leptoceratops says, I hate how everything is making it harder to get away from the internet. Everything gets moved online. Services get moved to apps. Businesses are expected to have social media engagement, etc. That's super
Yeah, that's
true.
a really good point. I mean, I do my work on the computer, so it's very, I have to do that most days a week or whatever. Um, like I proofread books, so I have to do that on a screen. So it's like having a food addiction or something. Like you have to eat,
You have to
you
use the
know.
internet now.
Yeah, you have to use it. So, yeah, we get blamed for it as individuals instead of people aiming for the top.
Yeah. Or
Um,
even like something simple as like when you like phone, I don't know, uh when your Wi-Fi is down and you call your provider or you call
mhm.
your Expedia or you call anything, they'll be like,
Yeah.
the first thing you hear is always like, did you know that we have an app? Or did you know you can access us on the web at? And it's like, but I just want to talk to a person.
Yeah, and I
It's
feel
so
like the
true.
people who created this stuff, maybe they had like good intentions at the beginning
Yeah,
or something.
I think that's the case with most things is the intention is good and for convenience, but intentions do not equal outcome necessarily.
Yeah, it's just evolved. Well, I mean, seeing the stuff about how this stuff is engineered to
Mm.
like they specifically study what gets people the most addicted and then they do those things. So,
I have not seen the documentary, but there's one on Netflix called The Social Dilemma, which apparently is
yeah, I haven't seen
incredibly
it either.
revealing. I should have
Yeah,
watched it in prep for this, but I did not. But
I
I've
didn't
heard
either.
it's really, really revealing and quite powerful.
I feel like I would just be like disturbed by that.
Hmm. I think so too. But that's the world we're living in now.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
Oof.
I personally like really romanticize the days of dial-up internet when it's like,
Uh-huh.
you
When it was
you
the
were
Wild
limit
West.
you were limited in the amount that you used it just because like, someone in the house needs to use the
Use the
phone.
phone. Uh-huh.
So it's
I
like,
remember when we first got the internet in the mid 90s or whatever.
yeah.
Yeah, you were limited because of phone stuff. But I also remember my parents giving me, I was allowed to use the internet for a half an hour a day. And
Yeah.
then as soon as we got um, like cable internet, no more dial up, that was done for and it was accessible always. And there was no more rule.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah, and it was like also back then, like when I was in high school, it was like AOL. That's
yeah, same.
um yeah, and it was just like there was not that much you could do. I mean, I used to go on and just like IM with my friends or whatever.
Yep.
That was the appeal, which was totally appeal. I mean, even at that point, when it hadn't really been engineered to make us addicted, it still was like very satisfying to go on and talk to your friends. But often we would just go on and like coordinate our plans of when we were going to meet up in real life,
Yeah, exactly.
so it wasn't
Yep.
like it was like a means to an end. It wasn't like that was the whole point
Mm-hmm.
of but yeah, I definitely romanticize that time of like
Me too.
pre smartphones. I didn't get a smartphone till I think like 2013 or something like that.
Oh, I
Yeah.
got my first smartphone in 2011 or 12.
Mm,
But I got my first
okay.
cell phone as a whole in 2008. I was 20.
I got my first cell. Wow, you were 20. Okay, well, you're
Yep.
younger than me. Yeah, because I got my
Yeah.
first cell phone in 2000. Yeah. So
Yeah.
when I
I
was
was
like
20.
in college. Yeah. What else was I gonna say? I forget, but
Yeah.
Yeah, Villapula says, I'm so happy my parents didn't let me on the internet as a kid. I was allowed to play Sims 2 for a bit over an hour per day. Yeah, I
Cute.
played like video games and stuff as a kid, and we had a computer when I was growing up, but
In
it
the
just
computer room.
yeah, exactly.
There was a room in the house where the computer lived.
Oh my gosh, I've been thinking about that lately because like it just I don't know, like yeah, as a way to I feel that there will be a movement back. I mean, I hope there will be, but I think that there will be. I think it's going to
Like the
reach a
pendulum will
point.
swing.
Yeah, I think it will. Um
I hope so.
yeah. Yeah, back 20, 30 years ago or whatever growing up like there was this idea, oh, everything's going to like, your refrigerator's connected to the internet and like your whole house and some people do
It's
live
true
that
now.
way. Yeah, I mean, I don't live exactly that way, but like it was like in
Mhm.
this way that the technology can serve you and now we
Right.
are like the servants to the technology.
That's right. Wow. Yeah, that is such a great point.
What I was going to say was when I was working in the financial industry, I was did that for like 7 years. For most of that time, I didn't have a computer at home and I didn't have a cell phone. I had like a BlackBerry, which you couldn't even go on the like internet
Yeah.
with or whatever, um, for work. So I had no phone and I had no internet because my justification was I'm looking at a screen all day at work. Why would I want to look at a screen outside of work? You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, and I wish I could like get back to that because but I work from home now, so there's no maybe if I worked in an office with a computer at the office, like I would
Right.
try to do that again, but yeah. It's so uh wine, first world problems, I guess.
I know.
Let's see, anything in the chat?
Um.
Michelle says, what I find so strange these days, so very different, is that what we did with computers, I'm in my 50s, usually led to skills, and games and programs now lead far away from that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, computers used to be so much more about like enriching yourself and stuff. And now it's just like, how can you numb out as much as possible? The idea that technology makes life convenient is contingent on the false and absurd idea that expectations will not change along with it. For example, phone availability.
Mhm.
Mm, yes. Yeah, you can't go back.
Yeah. Man, an hour and a
Pandora's box.
half.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, once we get talking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, the chat has been
So,
popping.
yeah.
What were you gonna say?
No, I was just going to ask you like what you've got coming up for videos and
Um,
plans looking
not
towards the
a
future.
ton. I mentioned in our stream on your channel on Friday, I've been reading a radical feminist anthology.
Oh, yeah.
So I do have a video on Wednesday that's gonna, I think, if not Wednesday, then it'll be next week.
Hmm.
About some stuff I've read in there. Um, that's about it. How about you?
Yeah. Well, I want to write about Leah Thomas and
Uh-huh.
expand on the NCAA rules and stuff. I want to kind of do a little deep dive, probably like a 10-minute video maybe
That'd be
on
great.
yeah, how that was allowed to happen because the NCAA has this crazy like booklet that's their trans rules. It's from like I think 2011 and they haven't
Oh wow.
changed their rules about trans people in all
Oh
that time.
boy. Wow.
Yeah, and it is so stupid. It's literally one of the most nonsensical things I've ever read. And so I just want to like pick apart the lack of logic and yeah, because it's like I don't know. So that's if I have the energy, that's what I'm going to work on. this week. I
Good.
hope I haven't made like a proper video essay. I think in like maybe 6 weeks or something. Just been
That's
pretty
okay.
long time. Yeah, I don't know. I'm enjoying doing the streams. Like, it's still a lot of preparation doing these streams, though. It's not like it's like less work in a sense than doing the essays, but I also like haven't shown I made that short last night, but I haven't shown my face on like camera in forever, it feels like. And I have to tell you, it's somewhat liberating. Like, just not the pressure of not having my face on the internet. I don't know.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah, it's been like a nice little break. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then probably stream on Friday if you're interested, just like a casual. You're invited.
Casual Friday evening stream.
No pressure.
Thanks. I'll
do
probably
it.
be there.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
We had so much fun on Friday.
Yeah, it was good.
I thought, yeah, it was just a lot of laughs and stuff.
Yeah.
Well,
I had so much fun today.
Yeah, me too. This was great. Thank you so much for all the stuff that you put together. It was really good.
Likewise. Thanks for all your research.
Yeah, I had a lot of stats. I mean, it's really easy once you dig into this stuff. There's a lot of, that's why I'm saying that I think the pendulum will swing, because there's more and more people are becoming aware of this. Like, I wouldn't doubt if some of these like try to not use the internet apps or whatever are some of like the most fastest growing apps. I don't have any stats on that, but
I bet
it's definitely a huge trend of people trying to use their phones less.
Which is good.
So thank you guys.
Yes, thanks everyone for being here.
All for being in the chat.
The chat. I know we weren't as super attentive as we usually are to the chat, but it was flying today. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
And thank you for listening to us and all we have to say.
Yeah, really appreciate it, guys, as always. If you want to take a moment to say your goodbyes, now is the time.
And subscribe to Lisa's channel. There's a link in the description, I think. If not, I will quickly put one in. And yeah, thanks so much.
Yeah, thanks for being a part of this space. You guys make it.
Yep. We wouldn't be here without all you wonderfuls. Okay, thank you, everyone.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.